Gamechangers.
Hi, I'm Chris Uglietta, and welcome back to Game Changers. Today, I'm super excited to have Meena Kallu with us. She is the head of gaming at Snap. Meena, welcome to Game Changers.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. I'm super stoked to be here.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
I did. I'm very. It was very great to get everyone back together this year. I feel like it's been a while.
True, right, in person. And you're a traveler. Every time I talk to you, you're on a different coast. Where are you today?
I'm in sunny Los Angeles today, so it doesn't really feel like fall yet here. But I got a little bit of a break over the Thanksgiving break and got a change of scenery.
Good. Well, again, I appreciate you making time during this final, the final sprint of Q4. I think there's somewhere around 15 or 20 business days left. So let's get it done. Let's just jump right in. Want to talk first about your background. You truly are an expert in the ad tech and the space, and you were at Tapjoy, which is a network I used to do some business with. So please tell us about it. And also, I'd like to hear about what you're doing and kind of what your role is at Snap.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started at Tapjoy, and that was kind of my first foray into the advertising industry. And ultimately, I worked there to kind of help build out the advertising function there. So worked on the sales team, and back when I started, it was a really interesting time because it was a bit of the wild west, right? Like MMPs didn't really exist.
Right.
A lot of the big social players, that are kind of core to a lot of user acquisition strategies just weren't around. So it was a very different time. So it's been awesome to kind of see over the last decade this industry really kind of build itself from the ground up. But I was leading gaming there for North America, so I did that for a handful of years. Lived, in Santa Barbara, San Francisco, and ultimately ended up in LA, where I still am. But that's really how I got involved in this industry, and honestly, I kind of fell in love with it. It's awesome, and I learn something new every day. It's ever changing. So yeah, definitely was a great experience working there. And then most recently, so for the last 5 years, I've actually been at Snap, building out the gaming business here. So I oversee the North America gaming advertiser solutions team. And we work with gaming advertisers kind of across mobile gaming, console gaming, esports, and blockchain gaming. So it's been a really fun time, but really excited to kind of dig in more today.
Super, I agree all the way. Gaming is a fun place to be, and I think it's remarkable you've been at Snap 5 years. What really kind of brought you there, and obviously you're a huge fan.
Yeah, I think, even before I started at Snap, I always kind of had my eye on Snap. I think social was really starting to take off as a place that, brands, wanted to be. They were starting to drive, user acquisition, ultimately user acquisition, which was the space I was in. And I was kind of watching it closely. And I think Snap was a company that I always had my eye on just because of the level of innovation that they were always kind of ahead of the curve. And I really respect that. And I think that was ultimately what led me to Snap, is this opportunity to work at a company that I really admired, and to work within an industry that I love, and helping to scale out the gaming business here. So it's been really exciting. And I think one thing that's kind of like kept me here is that innovation. Like, it's one thing that I think we've always been true to, is continuing to innovate at a clip that's faster than anyone else in the industry.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're here to talk about today. To our audience. So Snap is really known for innovation, and there's been a lot of changes, of course, with privacy and the marketplace in general. And so, really excited to hear what Snap is doing on that front, and what's to come. So, to the audience, if you are interested in learning kind of more about the impact of the changes, check out a webinar we did just about a week ago. I did with Eric Kress of Deconstructor of Fun. You can find on the Data.ai website. But to Meena, aside from those changes, we'll kind of put the details to the side for privacy and tracking. What are the other, what are kind of the trends you're seeing as a result of that, or beyond, not even related to these recent changes?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And I'm going to preface this with saying that I think it is an ever changing industry at this point, right? I think what we know today might be different in a month or two. So
Sure.
it's been a really exciting time, but I think there's a few things that are top of mind for me. So I think first and foremost is that creative is king. I think creative has always been an important muscle to flex in order to kind of drive awareness or acquisition for brands. But I think it's even more important now with a lot of the privacy changes that you alluded to, and that's making sure that you're captivating your audience through that, and really setting your brand apart, and making sure that you're A/B testing, you have learning agendas, and most importantly, like making sure that you're actually making creative that's specific to the platforms that you're running on, and that you understand the unique user behaviors there. So I think that's one of the biggest things. And then kind of in line with that is contextual targeting as well, right? So understanding, who is your audience, what's contextually relevant to them, when they're coming across your brand, and then how are you buying media and where are those ads being placed, I think is really important now, which I think, if I go back to 6 or 7 years ago, that wasn't really the case, right? It's like, as long as we're hitting our KPIs, we're happy. And I think that's kind of changing. And it's because this is how you're actually going to find your audience is through these different levers that you have to pull now.
Yeah. So essentially, targeting, the easy button has kind of gone away. So now we need to understand what types of users, what types of audience are using different platforms.
Yeah,
I
exactly. I almost
believe
think
that's what you said.
it's taken the place of targeting, right? Which is like, these are the levers you can pull today. So how can you lean into them even more?
Right. Excellent call. What are the other changes or trends that you're excited about or noticing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other one that's I think been top of mind for everyone is this idea of content fortressing or M&A within the marketplace. I think obviously to some degree it's always existed, especially within gaming, which is the world that I live in. But I think in response to privacy and tracking, we've seen a ton of M&A in the last year or two. I think it was really interesting. I think it was in 2022 there was over $100 billion in transaction value, which if you look at the charts of previous years, it's a massive spike. It's noticeable,
Hmm.
and so I think that's something really interesting. I think some notable ones were the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard for over $68 billion, or Take Two and Zynga.
Hmm.
These are massive companies, and I think at the end of the day, like gaming companies, they want access to more scale, they want more audiences. We're seeing this, traditionally console and mobile kind of lived separately, but we're seeing, those worlds kind of blend together. And then I think there's this desire for more data and keeping that data within your own ecosystem. And so I think that's been a pretty notable trend. And then, I think in addition to that of, these themes of understanding your audience, having access to data, I think the last point is making sure that you're finding high value audiences. So, specifically Gen Z and millennials. I think historically, brands haven't really been open to or really understood the value of these, and that's fair because they have different behaviors. It takes time to understand them, but we're seeing that brands are interested in targeting the Gen Z and millennial audiences, specifically the 13 to 17 age demographic, and ultimately they consume media very differently than other age buckets and audiences. So I think that's where Snap comes in as well. Is we offer brands one of the most effective ways to engage with these audiences because we have such large reach there, and these aren't necessarily users that you're going to find on other platforms or other forms of media consumption such as linear TV, or anything like that. So I think those are some of the biggest trends that we're seeing today.
Thanks. That's really interesting about Gen Z and millennials. I really know nothing about those age groups, and for sure they're using Snapchat, and I'm sure that also they have some disposable income, and so valuable target audience for advertisers, both gaming and retail. Um, Appreciate that. Also, there's been quite a lot of changes in the measurement space. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that again, like I think as an industry, right, like over the last decade, we've spent 10 years building the measurement ecosystem or solutions that we had. And I think that's kind of been flipped on its head most recently. And I think one of the things that we've been doing at Snap is trying to understand, okay, how can we best kind of equip brands on our platform to still kind of understand their media spend, understand how they can measure ROI. So, we've definitely come up with a handful of solutions to ultimately do that, which I can dig into as well.
Super important, given the changes in tracking. So exciting that Snap has a solution there for its customers. In regard to the latest privacy changes, what is the Snap strategy, for kind of navigating that and delivering that value that Snap's known for to customers in the market?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And I want to start with just saying that at Snap, privacy has always been, central to our strategy, to our products, because we know it's, critical to helping people feel safe and comfortable in expressing themselves. And I think, again, that's just been in our DNA since the inception of the company. And so for us, I think this transition, to kind of being more privacy centric was, natural to us. And so some of those solutions that we've come up with is our advanced conversion solution. So essentially, it's our privacy centric solution where we ultimately, allow advertisers to still understand a lot of important metrics that they might not be getting elsewhere. So, we can give transparency on creative level performance, on other levers for campaigns that you can understand success and make decisions really early on if campaigns are working, which, as we know, for direct response advertisers is kind of core to how they are kind of making business decisions that affect their bottom line. So that's been really important to us, is providing another layer of reporting and understanding, that we can provide based on the data that we have, which is, again, privacy centric. And then we also have our conversions API solution. So if you're not familiar, it's essentially a server to server integration, which enables you to directly actually pass back data to Snap. So that could be via web, that could be via app or offline events. And ultimately what it's doing is it's powering, Snap to help us get better results for your business. So that's been a huge focus of ours. And then, of course, making sure that we have all of the tools to enable a testing cycle, right? So A/B testing, creative testing iteration, optimizations, audience targeting. We have a robust offering for first party audience as well. This is something we're continuing to invest in because we know how important it is for our advertisers. So yeah, and then in addition to that, what's really important to us is the testing cycle. So making sure that we're providing tools to our partners to be able to understand ROI and ultimately like what matters to them. So an example of this is A/B testing, creative testing, optimizations, audience targeting. We have a massive list of first party audiences. So that's really important to us to continue to provide tools for folks to understand, what the ROI is for their campaigns. And then I think the other piece that's really important is, as we talked about earlier, Chris, and you mentioned, you yourself don't really understand the Gen Z or millennial audiences. It's a massive audience that Snap reaches, as I mentioned. So we actually, as a whole, Snap has, more than 360 million daily active users.
Wow.
We're actually still growing year over year, and that's globally. So we're really excited about that. And we actually have 5 billion snaps that are created daily. So
No kidding. Wow.
yeah, massive numbers. And I think what's even cooler there is, when you look at the Gen Z and millennial audience, we actually reach 90% of 13 to 24-year-olds and 75% of 13 to 34-year-olds. So like I mentioned, this is a massive audience that exists on Snap. Oftentimes it's unduplicated, right? Because we have a lot of people who just use Snap or are coming to Snap exclusively to engage with, a lot of our different features. So we're super excited about that. And like you said, they have massive buying power. I think they have 4.4 trillion, if I remember correctly, in global purchasing power. So this is a massive audience that you want to make sure you're reaching to at some point or have a strategy around. So definitely something that you want to make sure you're looking into and have a strategy. And then I think the last piece is creative, right? Our ad units are immersive. They're designed to be experienced with sound on. I think a majority of folks on Snap actually have sound on just because of the experience, which I think is very unique to Snap as
For
well.
sure.
So yeah, I think like for us, it's really important to make sure that we have native, ads and experiences that doesn't disrupt the way that a user or a consumer is engaging on Snap. And one thing that I'm really excited about is actually AR and the opportunity for brands to actually have an AR presence as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to double click on that. Just a quick hot take. Sound on is super interesting, and I imagine that means that user is hyper engaged, with the content rather than kind of scrolling while listening to or watching something else. So super cool.
Absolutely,
Um,
that's what we see.
let's talk about AR. I'm kind of a tech guy, but I don't know anything about AR. I'm excited for it. I think like a lot of folks, AR, I know Pokemon Go, but Snap is the leader. And I'm excited to hear what you're doing in the space, but maybe you could start with a little primer, what it is, what's the current form factor, and then let's talk about, the ad units part.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, AR's obviously been a hot topic, both at Snap and outside of Snap. And I think it's just going to continue to gain traction. So, happy to chat through it. Obviously, it's a massive priority for us at Snap, but at a really high level, right? Like augmented reality is essentially a digital layer that enhances the world that we live in, right? So on Snap, we actually call these AR experiences lenses, and these lenses actually live within the Snapchat app. So when you open the Snapchat app, you open to the camera, and at the bottom of the camera, you actually see what we call the lens carousel. And this carousel is where you can actually, and this changes every day, so you won't get the same static lenses, but these lenses can actually be created by Snap. They can be organic and or sponsored lenses. So sponsored lenses are essentially lenses that have been created by our brand partners, and they live within this carousel as well. So that's kind of where AR lives on Snap. And then on top of that, we actually also have Snap Camera, which I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but that's actually available on desktop. So you could download it and actually bring these lenses to you're like we could have them right now. I actually should have done that, but
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
yeah,
I've used that product. It's super fun and very disruptive on Zoom calls. Good, it's good fun.
well, it's really funny because at the beginning of the pandemic, obviously, everyone's like, thinking we're gonna be here for a week or two, and it's like, oh, I have my sweats on, like didn't get ready. I need to put something distracting in my background or something, or transport myself. And we saw such good adoption of our camera because people were just really interested in using it. So it's been awesome to see that. And again, just a testament to all the work that we've been doing. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited about what the future holds there.
Terrific. What can you tell us about how it's going, how customers are reacting, in terms of growth or metrics or engagement?
Yeah, absolutely. At a high level, it's going really well. So, I think about it. I think about where we first started, which is we've come a pretty long way from the puking rainbows and the dog lenses, which were kind of the viral moment for us and AR. And those are still moments that I hold really, really dear to my heart. But I think it's been awesome to see the growth in AR as well. So we have 250 million people that engage with AR every day on Snap, which is definitely not a small number when you look at our total user base. And then we actually, on average, people are engaging with AR on Snap 30 times a day. So Chris, you mentioned this earlier,
Wow.
which is we have sound on, we have these immersive experiences inside of Snap. It's not just something where you come in and you check it daily. People are engaging because they love AR. We have people who come into the app every day just to use AR and see what the new lenses are. So it's massive for us, and I think it goes beyond brand awareness. It's it's a powerful tool both for kind of upper funnel awareness for our brand advertisers, as well as a marketing tool for direct response as well. So we can dig into that. But I think at a high level for us, it's not only making sure that we're kind of the leaders in AR and the technology there, but making sure that we're providing real business results for our partners as well.
Maybe we could talk about the tech. I mean, what are the considerations there, to make this all work or to make it a good experience?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And one of the things that we've been doing over the years is making sure that we're investing in the technology to make it as real as possible. So I'll give you an example. We have mapping technology. So if you were to try on an AR experience with clothing, right, it would map to your body perfectly. If you're moving around, it would almost look as if I wouldn't be able to tell that you were using an AR experience. It would actually look like, you were wearing that in the flesh. And so for us, that's how we think about AR. Is we're really serious about making sure that experience is as authentic as possible. And another example of this is like, let's say I'm trying on a lipstick. That lipstick will reflect like the tones of my skin tone and map to me differently than it would map to someone else. And so these are the types of things that we're taking into account when we're working on AR, is making sure that it's as real as possible and making sure that we're constantly developing that tech. World lenses where you can actually see the world in front of you augmented, or a face lens where you're actually augmenting your face. These are all, elements that we're continuing to build on.
Super cool. Today the U.S. won their match in the World Cup, so I guess I would throw on a USA jersey for giggles.
I'm sure I have a snap code for you, so I'll send that to you after.
Oh, awesome. So how is this working on e-commerce? I know, kind of the general approach on gaming, but it seems like there's a lot of excitement around driving a retail. And like you said, with lipstick, giving folks sort of an experience with the product before making a purchase decision. Tell us about that.
Yeah. And I think e-commerce is interesting, right? Because it's kind of naturally, it makes sense, right? Like, you're sitting in your home, you're trying on a product. Hey, this looks cool. I can actually experience this and see how it would look on me. And I think we've actually seen that, especially during the pandemic, where you actually couldn't go into a store physically and try something on. We've seen that explode. So we've seen over 250 million Snapchatters have engaged with AR, more than 5 billion times since January of last year. So this is a massive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's 11 months. That's nuts.
Yeah. And that's actually, and we've also dug into, what our users kind of feel about Snap and e-commerce, and they rank Snap the number one platform for sharing shopping moments. So people love it. And we've actually seen that, AR and shopping work hand in hand, where 6 in 10 consumers now identify shopping as their primary reason for using AR, which, I mean, that in itself, like, I had to sit there and let that one soak in, because that's awesome that people are actually really leaning on it and trust AR to be making these types of purchases and decisions.
So, quick sidebar. So the shopping moment, is that sort of the experience of bringing your friend with you to the store and you're kind of going in and out of the changing room? Hey, does this look good on me? Is that what a shopping moment might look like?
Yeah, so exactly. So think of it as, hey, you try something on with AR, you take a picture of it. Let's say it's some shoes, or let's say it's, like I said, lipstick or a new outfit. You could take a picture, you could send it to friends. Or maybe if you're someone that you can't visualize it yourself, the AR experience will allow you to do that. So it can be any of those moments. And I think, again, just thinking about Snap and the nature of our app, we are, are a close friends platform where people feel like they can express themselves, they can share with others. And so this kind of works cohesively with all of that as well.
Awesome. And so what's the performance like in terms of, impact on retailers as folks are engaging with their brands through this experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we've just spent some time talking about e-commerce, but by no means is AR limited to e-commerce.
Right.
We've actually seen, success kind of across the board. So the way that we think about AR is, no matter what your goal is, whether it's upper funnel or lower funnel, no matter what your vertical is, essentially we have a solution. So specifically, let's dig into DR advertisers, right? Let's say you're an app, we actually can drive to the App Store to help you, drive new users. If it's a purchase, we can drive a purchase. Let's say it's a big movie launch, we can drive awareness where it's a shareable moment, right? Where you want to kind of spread the word. So it can be all of those things. And we're seeing on average that users are engaging anywhere from 5 seconds to over 15 seconds, and they're self-selecting, these lenses to engage with as well.
I saw something about Halloween and costumes, and that looked like a super fun promotion. What was that?
Yeah, so we actually partnered with a third-party partner called Disguise, and what we did is you could actually try on a Halloween costume through a lens, and then from there you could directly purchase your Halloween costume. So, think about I was talking to my boyfriend during Halloween, and we couldn't figure out what we wanted to be, so I quickly snapped a picture of myself wearing one of these pre-selected costumes. He said, "Looks awesome, let's get it." So that's the type of experience that we've now kind of allowed with partnerships like that. So, that flow is a perfect example of exactly how easy and the type of experience that you can get through AR.
Wow, I feel like we could do just a whole other podcast on that. It's exciting to think about all the permutations that could be achieved there. Let's talk a little bit more about engagement on the customer side and really the added value. I mean, of going with an AR ad unit as opposed to a traditional impression on other networks.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point, Chris, is because if you think about it, the themes of our conversation today have been making sure that your creative is speaking to your audience, making sure it's engaging, right? And I think that's where AR fits really seamlessly into this conversation because someone is self-selecting to engage with your lens, but more importantly, you can bring your brand to life in ways that you can't bring through any other ad unit, right? Or any type of creative. And I think that's really special because we see really great engagement rates, as I've mentioned. And so I think, an example of this is with gaming where we do, I like to think of it as, I always like to say it's a playable ad unit, but taking it to the next level, right? Because you can bring in elements of gameplay, for example, you can bring in IP if you have it, and you can really put someone in that experience. And so I think that's where users are finding a lot of value is like really understanding brands, really understanding their message in a way that you can't get anywhere else.
And how is this managed, on the delivery side?
Yeah, so as far as delivery goes, we have a lot of different tools. So this has also been a massive initiative of ours is making sure that we have made it as easy as possible for anyone to run AR on Snap. So basically, we have very advanced capabilities and we have very accessible capabilities for kind of all advertisers, all sizes, and tools that we've been investing in over the years. So our Lens web builder is probably one of the easiest ways to run AR. So if you have an ads manager campaign, which is our self-serve platform, meaning you could go in, if you have an account, you could actually create an AR experience within minutes. I could probably walk you through it.
Really?
We'll have to do another podcast on that. But
I will take you up on that. I have a bracing team brand. I sell some products. I might actually take you up on that.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's how easy it is, right? You could
Cool.
actually go into Ads Manager. We have templates that you could actually go in, quickly create something, upload your own 2D or 3D assets, and publish a lens and start running media, just like you would any other media. So it really is that simple. And then we also have our Lens Studio, which is you could download, and it's a free desktop software that you could download if you're kind of looking to really invest in making a lens. And then we also have our lens partners who can produce top quality AR experiences. And then lastly, we have our creator marketplace, so we can connect you with lens creators around the world, creators who have made lenses go viral. And then we also have our in-house team. So we have a slew of different, ways that you can tap into AR depending on what your needs are.
Quick question. So on the end user side, how hard of it is a sell to get them to try a lens? Meaning, how much time do I have to invest to experience that? And can I just grab a bunch and play with them and feel free, or do I have to really kind of go through a process, or commit some time to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be whatever you want it to be, right? So, like, it can be very complex, it can be very easy, but we basically have solutions for all of it. And from a user experience, there's going to be more complex lenses, but I don't think we necessarily, see that it needs to be really complex or it doesn't. I think the main takeaway is people love lenses and people love engaging with them, and it's just a great way to get your brand out there. And like I said, we have people who go into the app just to see what new lenses they can play with every day. I'm actually guilty of this. One of the first things I do when I wake up in the morning is look at the new lenses and send them to all of my friends, right?
Cool.
So no, it's definitely something that's really loved on the app.
So just like with 5 or 10 seconds, I could have an experience.
Absolutely.
Very cool. And is this a US phenomena, or where is this happening globally?
Yeah, so it's global. So we have reach globally, and we're also still growing year over year, and we're seeing really great growth. And AR is available across the globe as well. So we don't necessarily see it concentrated, for example, in North America or the US. It really is everywhere.
Wow. So thanks for all the context there. Snap is an innovator in the space, and I know you can't reveal much, but thematically or whatever you could tell me, what's next? What should I be excited about, or what are you excited about?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot I'm excited about personally, but I think as far as what the kind of the near term future, or even long term future for us holds is, we have three strategic priorities that we're kind of out in market talking about, and those are the most exciting for me too, which is growing our community and deepening their engagement with our products, reaccelerating and diversifying our revenue growth, and investing in AR. So I know we've spent a lot of time talking about AR and the tech, and how much we've invested so far, but that's not going to stop. And I think that's what I'm really excited to even work with our partners on, as ways that they can get involved if they're not. But I think at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're building solutions, for our advertisers, for our partners, for brands, especially in this new world that we're living in, which I know is top of mind for all of us. And so that's kind of what I'm really excited about in the future.
Well, I'll be excited to watch it, and hopefully we could touch base next year as some of these things are revealed. I'm just making assumptions on timing, but and keep in touch. Um, our audience typically likes to reach out, with follow up questions and stuff. How would someone get in touch with you? Would
Yeah,
that be LinkedIn?
absolutely. Yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn, or if we can definitely add like an email that someone can reach out to at the bottom of this podcast or attached to this podcast as well. But more than happy to help, and more than happy to help educate on AR, Gen Z, anything needed. We're happy to help.
Yeah, and on a personal note, I'll definitely take you up on the offer to make a lens. I'm looking to sell some hats for my team, so very exciting. Thank you.
Absolutely happy to help you, Chris.
It's been super fun. I hope you have a great holiday. I think you told me earlier before we started you were hosting a Christmas, so good luck with that.
I will be hosting Christmas, and the next podcast I'll have to give you an update on how that goes as well.
Sounds great. Appreciate your time, and thank you for joining Game Changers, brought to you by Data AI. Thank you.